All right, let's get to it. Today I'm going to show you how to create a cable to program your Radiomaster R168 receiver with your Radiomaster TX16S transmitter. This is a very basic cable. It is a low voltage data transport cable. We don't need to do anything exotic. I know there are other ways to create cables where you solder and do all this crazy stuff. We do not need to do that to create this cable. Everything we need to make this cable is right here in front of us, so let's get to it. First off, we're going to need a pair of scissors. These are heavy-duty scissors from Harbor Freight. I think they cost $1. We have our smallest precision flathead screwdriver from the kit. We have a roll of electrical tape. You can use any type of tape, and you'll see what I mean once we get to the tape portion of the project. And we have 2 old servo connectors, clipped off old broken servos. These are male servo ends, and we have the wires clipped at the end. Now, really quick, I'm going to sidetrack and say... to anybody that's just getting into the hobby and playing around with this stuff, save everything you have when you crash a plane or when an ESC burns out or when a motor burns out. Save your wires unless they're completely melted and not worth anything. Anytime I crash a plane or a ESC burns up, I clip every usable connector, wire, cable, you name it. I clip it off, put it in a bin for later. I have hundreds of just wires, plugs that I dig around, and I'm going to use them. You will use those, trust me. As soon as you throw that thing out, the next day you're gonna say, "Man, I wish I had that servo end," you know. So that's where I got these. I pulled these out of an old bin. You know, I was like, "Hey, I need this cable," so I pulled these out and let's make them. So that's all we have. That's all we're going to need. So let's get to it. We're going to move everything off the work area, and we're going to start out with the basics. So the first thing we need to do is we need to strip the ends of the wires. You can easily do that with your fingernail if you haven't. Some people clip them pretty close, so you might not be able to do it. Or your teeth. You know, consult your dentist first. I'm not going to be responsible for when you need a cap or something, but you can also use your teeth. I've seen peeps use their teeth to strip the wires. I'm going to use the old fingernail. This sheathing on the wires is very weak. It'll come right off. Boom, 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 done. And this can be a little tougher. This wire's a little thicker. I think this wasn't from a servo. I think it was from some type of maybe power plug or something. Oh, giving me a little hard time there. So boom, we got them stripped. That was easy. Now we're going to twist the ends because we don't want to play around with these frayed ends. See, that one's already starting to fray. So it's going to make it easier for us to connect the cables. So we get the ends nice and twisted. All right. That one's done. Then the thicker wires are always easy to twist. Those little thin ones, just more of a pain. And, you know, not looking for perfection here. We're just tidying them up so it's going to be easier to work on. So in a few steps further down the road here in this little project, we're going to have to swap the red and black wire on the connector. So one would think, like, why not just swap them up here and not have to screw around with that down here? Well, the reason I'm not going to do that is I know myself too well. I'll swap them up here, tape them up, insulate them, have my cable, use it one time. Then 2 months down the road when I need to use it again, or 2 months down the road when I'm doing some other project and I go into my my modified wire box, I'll see this, you know, male to male end connector. I'll use that. And the wires are going to look correct, right? But they're not, because if we swap the red and black up here, they're still going to be in the same spot they normally would be down here. And I might plug that in and blow something up, and that would suck. So, and I do know that before I do, you know, any type of activity that would require this cable, I'll check the ends to make sure they're right, you know. So I know myself that if I swap them up here, I'll forget about it and I could possibly cause damage to something down the road. So I'm going to keep them to the correct wire colors. So when I look at the end of the actual connector, the colors are correct. And I suggest you do the same. And then when you twist these together, make sure that you have the sheathing lined up. Don't have one like way up here and try to twist it this little piece there. That's not going to work well when we get to the next step. So we want to keep them even, twist it all up. And we'll do the same up here with the black. So we have white to white, red to red, black to black. Everything's nice and even. Everything's twisted. And twist it as tightly as you can. That's going to definitely help out. And I'll tell you why I'm doing it this way when I'm done, rather than a different possible way. So now we have everything, or all 3 wires connected. I'm going to separate them, a little bit. As you can see, you can pull the wires. They're all connected, and you can, pull them apart to get some separation. So we're going to need that here. Oh, look at that black fell apart. See, I didn't twist it tight enough. All right. So that should be good. And you also see how now, it's almost like a T, or there where this piece is coming off. You want to try to get that, the part that you just twisted to run parallel with the actual wire. Okay, why is this black one not staying together? Let's give it a little bit tighter of a twist, I guess. We'll really crank it down. All right, that should keep it together. So we're just going to set that like that for now. And now we're going to go with the tape. So what we want to do here with the tape is get about a, I don't know, maybe it's a 2-inch piece. No need to measure it, about that long. And we'll lay that down. And we're going to lay our wires on top of it in the center. Now we want a gap between each wire, and I'll show you what I mean here in a second. So we're gonna get the black one on here first and just get it on the tape nice and stuck good there. Then the red one, we're going to give it a gap in between it and do the same thing. Make sure the actual twisted wire is running parallel with the actual wire across the tape. And we do, oh great, it just moved on me. We do want to center it right. Make sure that where the sheathing is. So you probably want to separate these a little more. I didn't do it far enough down here. But you get the point here. We want a gap between all of these. So I'm just going to separate the 3 wires a little more. And that looks really good right there, actually. And we just want to make sure that yeah, that looks good. So see, we have a good gap between there. And we want to cut another piece the same length that we just cut, or longer. And we're going to trim it up anyway, so it doesn't matter if it's exact. So we just cut another piece here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this directly on top of that piece. And lift it up, and then press down in between the wires where the gap is. And you can see, if you can see with the light there, that we have, there we go, that's pretty good, that we have space. We basically insulated the wires now. So each wire is insulated and can't touch each other. And that's our main concern. We're not insulating it because it's going to get hot or anything. We just don't want these wires crossing each other. So that's all we need to do. And when you're not filming this for a video, it's actually pretty quick to do. So I'm just going to cut the extra off. And anybody who's ever done something where you're packaging something up and the tape gets out of hand and it starts sticking to itself, the sticky sides to each other, it's not coming apart, right? So that's what's good about this technique is A, I can look at this right now and see that those wires are not touching, and B, they're stuck together good enough for what we're going to do with this wire. And again, quick, easy, dirty way to do it. So we're almost done here. All we need to do now is swap our positive and negative here, our ground and our voltage. And as you can see really quick, we have black to black, red to red, white to white. So now we get our mini little precision flathead screwdriver. And if you ever mess with these plugs and pull these out, there's a little tab here that can be popped up. When you pop that tab up, this wire and that connector will slide right out. And then you push that tab back in, and when you push that connector back in, it's going to snap into place and it's going to hold it in there. So these are really easy to swap over and over again to do what you need to do with them. So we need to swap the black and the red. So we're going to pop the black up. Now the thing is, when you pop this up, it's going to want to go back into place. So you got to get it up kind of high, but don't go too high or it'll snap off. That snaps off, then it sucks. This will never stay in place. And we pull that right out. And we're going to do the same thing on the red one. We're going to pry that underneath there. Now, I've pried these up many times before, so this one comes up fairly easy. It's going to take a little bit of getting it under there, and lifting it before it comes up the first time. And that's going to pull right out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my screwdriver. I'm going to push that tab down a little bit so it's kind of back into where it wants to be. So that way it'll snap and hold the connector in place when I go to put it back in. And just make sure you're putting the right side in. You'll see the little connector on the little tab on the connector that snaps to the black tab on the actual housing. And why doesn't it want to go in? There we go. So the black is going to be on in the center spot now, and the red is going to be on the outer spot. And those plug right in. And as you can see, I'm pulling it. They don't want to come out. So boom, that's it. These are now swapped. So now when we look at it, we'll see on the original untouched, we have white, red, black. And on the one we swapped, we have white, black, red. So that's it. This cable is ready to roll. So we'll move into, plugging this in and actually programming the transmitter next. But that's it. We created a cable that will work pretty much with any, I don't know if this is like, I don't know a lot about like whether something is what S-bus and PWM. I don't know, like that, that's not my thing. I'm not versed on that. But this will actually plug into your JR bay, and then this will plug into your receiver. Actually, the other way around. This one will go into the JR bay. This will go to your receiver. And we'll get into that in a different portion of this video. So that's it. That's how to create your cable. That's it. Easy, quick, dirty. Later.